Are we? Yes.
It's working. Yahoo!
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Afternoons with Ming and Blake. Or the we're not even supposed to podcast today. My name is Ming Chen. I am podcasting live from Holmdel, New Jersey, and then we shoot up north to my friend, creator, mother, badass, and always got something going on. One of my favorite people in the world. Please welcome Blake Northcott, everybody, all the way from Toronto, Canada. How are you, my friend?
Oh my gosh, what an introduction. Thank you, Ming. I am so excited to be here today. Not even supposed to be podcasting today. This is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, but listen, you got something huge coming out, something that started way back in 2017, 18 with a novel. One of the, if I'm not mistaken, one of the most funded Kickstarter, crowdfunded campaigns for a book ever, or of 2018. But now that book has turned into a medium that we all know and love, the comic books. And I'm going to throw up a photo here, courtesy of Whatnot Publishing.
Yes.
So how do you pronounce this correctly? I did take French classes, but I'll let you pronounce the title.
The North Valley Grimoire. That's what I'm calling. Yes, North Valley Grimoire. That was a perfect synopsis of what's happened. So it was previously a book that I wrote in 2018, which was, the success of it was blowing me away, honestly. Like, so many people, I wasn't sure if they would follow me to this new genre, right? Because previously I wrote superheroes, and this is all set in spies and magic. So it's a completely different genre, but I love it so much. It's so much fun. So the comic is now being adapted from the book, and it's with Whatnot Publishing, and they are incredible to work with. I'm having the best time ever with Whatnot. So I guess for anyone who doesn't know the book, you don't have to have read the novel to jump into this comic series, because it's set in a world everyone can relate to with, who doesn't know about spies. It's like it's my version basically of James Bond.
Right.
And I call it spycraft meets spellcraft. So that's the tagline. But it revolves around a black ops division in the CIA that hunts down magic users, and one agent turns on the company and goes into business for himself. So super fun. I'm really ramping up the action, obviously, because it's me. Why not? Make it super fun, right?
Yes, sure. Before I get into the plot and what inspired you and why you wrote this and how excited you are to see it translated to a comic, I had no idea that Whatnot was publishing books, which makes perfect sense. Whatnot, if you don't know, is I guess for lack of a better term, it's an kind of a self-promoted, it's an auctioning app.
It's like auctioning, yeah, like live streaming, bidding and stuff for collectibles, for comics, for cards, for everything that people love who are in this universe. It's like the home shopping network for nerds.
For nerds, but but you're the personality. You run your own auctions. You put them live whenever you want. You publicize them, and it's taken off like wildfire. I love. They have a very. I became aware of them as they started popping up at conventions.
Right.
They have these huge convention presences, and they were doing live auctions at the cons. They were doing interviews at the cons.
Right.
They had these huge booths. That I've met them. They've hit me up several times. Like, hey man, we should do something.
Yeah.
And I've been too lazy to take them up on it so far. But I would love to work with them someday, either in a publishing or personality campaign capacity, or just I've got a lot of stuff here. I got to get rid of a lot of the stuff. So
your personality would be perfect for this. Honestly, you're the perfect person to do this. I'm not kidding. You hear about everyone online who's enjoying the interactive nature of it, right? Like they get to watch the people who create, the comic or whatever, but then interact with them at the same time. So it's like, how much fun is that? The convention crowd, like, literally is their audience.
Yeah.
So you know, that's like a perfect fit right there. But yeah, no, they're doing crazy numbers. They're so fun to work with, and I felt like this was the perfect home for my series, and they get it, you know. So we're having such a good time coming up with the variant covers, and like, let me just talk about the variant covers from
Oh, please, yes.
and the actual cover. So first of all, I know everybody watching is also a fan probably of art and in comics in general, right? So you can appreciate a piece of beautiful artwork. So here we go. I have the actual artwork for the cover that Sean Gordon Murphy did for my series. And this is the cover that he did. It's in plastic. I'm sorry, because I'm just terrified that I'm going to ruin it. So until I can it.
Oops, sorry. Oops, sorry.
So there we go. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, that's what I meant to do. Like, look at that beautiful, glorious cover. And,
oh, it's so nice. And I was so excited to open it. It just turned out even better than I could have dreamed. Like,
sorry, keep hitting the wrong button.
okay.
There you go. Okay, there we go.
So this cover is, you know, stunning, blew me away, was everything I wanted and more. And I just like, you know, when you say something like, oh, I want there to be like a really cool school in the background. I mean, the school by itself, look at that.
Yeah, hang on, I'm going to sing you up again.
We're having some issues here. There we go.
There we go. Wow.
So the level of detail that he put into it just blew me away. Like, there's the monsters, the gun, you know, the girl, like, who's Callista, and Malik are my two characters there. He just blew it away. It looks perfect. And this cover will be available. Right now, they're all available for pre-order. So if you would like a copy of the Sean Gordon Murphy cover, it's available. Go get it. The other covers we have by incredible artists like Faye Dalton. She did the Folio Society books for the James Bond series. And she did a cover for me, which is stunning. Like, her faces, her women are so beautiful. I can't even put words to it. So she did a cover, which will be there as well. And we have variant kind of homage covers that are, you know, throwback to nostalgia, because that's what I grew up with. I just love the nostalgia effect. You know, we have a GoldenEye cover. We have Back to the Future. You're gonna love this. Big Trouble in Little China.
Yes. I'm a huge fan of that, the Pork Chop Express and John Carpenter, and yes.
I can't even tell you, like, the amount of detail and fun we're having with it is blowing me away. So yes, that's very exciting.
When you wrote the novel, did you see it someday as a comic book series?
So this novel took me quite a while to do the world building aspect, because I really wanted it to be something that I put a lot of thought and detail into, and not just, you know, oh, there's magic, so who cares? Like, I wanted it to have an impact. You know, a lot of the times the stakes kind of aren't raised when we see magic being incorporated into some elements of TV or movies. And I feel like it can really take away from that. So, you know, like, let's say, I don't know, in the Marvel series, like in the multiverse, somebody dies, but then, you know, they're going to come back, right? So you're always kind of like, well, does it really matter that much when they die? Because you're always kind of, you know, there's that element of,
the stakes aren't as high, right?
Yeah. And I didn't want it to be something where it was like the magic was just like, oh, this person will die, and then 2 pages later you'll see them again. Like, I wanted the stakes to be quite high. So that's why I took a long time to build the universe and the world building that went into it. And I always did see it as something else. When I'm writing, I feel like someone has told me this before. They said, I feel like your writing is cinematic in quality. Like, they can picture the scenes kind of in their heads.
Right.
And that's how I kind of write. So of course, a comic is like the perfect medium for this. I wanted to make sure if it was a comic, then we would have a different style and it would be cool and different. And that's what I feel like we're creating now. So it's so fun.
That's awesome. And with the mashup of spies, gadgets, and magic, in the comic book medium, if you need something, you just draw it. Like, there are no restrictions.
The great thing with you know, comics is that you're telling kind of with two different mediums, the writing, the written word, but then also you're relying on your artist, right? To use visual aspects to tell the other story. So I'm really leaning on my artist. Giuseppe Cafaro is the one doing the interiors. He's incredible. He's an Italian artist. I've worked with him before previously. We have a great relationship. He just gets what I'm trying to convey too. So we like in this series, in the first, I don't want to give it away spoilers, but
Yeah.
I asked him for an interior of the library where the kids are, you know, in the library, but I wanted it to invoke magic and mystery and all of these really cool Gothic elements. And he came back to me with this incredible, like, you know, archways and stained glass windows. And I was like, this is incredible. Like, this blew me away. So yeah, the artwork is just phenomenal. But yeah, sometimes you do kind of feel like too, like you're cheating because he's doing so much of the heavy lifting with the incredible art. And in a novel, it's my responsibility to paint the picture, you know, in your mind. So now I just get someone else to kind of help me do it.
I would imagine the novel, I imagine, is way more descriptive than your comic book script.
Yeah.
But I imagine how about the artist? Hopefully they read the novel or like a little off of it. But yeah, I imagine maybe it's a little easier for the artist because you were so descriptive in the novel version.
Right.
Or in the comic book script, how descriptive were you in the comic book script as compared to
when you're going from like a novel, which like you said, I got to be really descriptive, and you get more to like into the motivation of the character because you can go crazy and just, there's no limit on your how many words, right? So I get really in depth in the motivation behind the character, and I'm explaining kind of like what they're thinking and all of that. But in comics, you don't have the amount of real estate to do that because everything is condensed, right? So for me, this is a difficult sort of, not a difficult, this is a challenge to get it from being, you know, really like intricate and laid out to kind of conveying what I'm trying to get across, but in a more concise manner. And also using, you know, the art to tell one story, and then my words another, and then also like, you know, if there's a narrator or whatever else is happening, you have to get it across very quickly. So, but it is fun because I'm able to also like ramp up the action, and the pace of it is really quick. So it's just a really fun, plus I know the character so well. So I feel like this is a great opportunity for me to like dive in. Like I'm having so much fun. Every day I'm like, oh, what can I make my character do today? They're gonna do something crazy. What would no one expect, you know? And like, bam, that's what happens.
That's so cool. I mean, so you've written plenty of comic books, so you've gone straight to the comic book script. If you had time, would you prefer to like do a longer format first to kind of build that world out?
Right.
You know, say you had no deadlines and and you're still kind of getting paid for the same time.
Right.
Would you prefer to do a novelization first before going to a comic book? In an ideal world?
Well, I definitely think that, you know, working on the novel first would give me a lot more source material to work with, for sure. And, you know, because novels are my passion, I feel like that's always in my mind. It's like my home base.
Right.
That's where I would feel like I would be able to excel kind of quickly and just get it out there. And that's the part where I, like you said, having that extra resource of all the material to work with is always great. But that being said, I do love the visual medium of comics. I love the art aspect, the collaboration, you know, working with your team. And it's a great way to showcase a different version of the novel.
Right.
So I love that too. I don't know. But novels are like my first love, I would have to say. Like this much more than comics, but I do love comics too. It's harder, like picking between two babies. I don't know.
No, I hear you for sure. I mean, growing up, I preferred to read comic books just because they had the visuals in them. I remember people who thought they knew better, mainly my parents, teachers, always like, why don't you read a real book? Like something with pictures in it. I got that constantly. Or I guess dismissed, like, oh, you're not really reading. Those are comics. Those are really books. And I'm happy to say both of us proved everybody wrong.
Yes.
For sure. I mean, if I can get pictures while I read, like, why not? For sure. Yeah.
And it's such a great like now that I have kids and I'm watching them, what they're reading, and they gravitate towards certain things. And I'm always encouraging them to read. I don't really care what it is. Like my son loves like manga, and he will just, gobble that up. And I'm like, you know what? That's great. And he was having like literacy issues before he found this. So, for him to be able to dive into all of these manga and like love it, it took him down a new path of reading and a love of reading. So, and the same thing, like when I see kids who are like excited to read comics, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said for a novel too. I mean, the amount of detail and everything you can get in a novel is quite different than a comic. But
which is great that you have both.
Yeah.
Hooked on the comic book series coming out. Is it May 31st?
Yes. So it will be in comic book stores. You can get them in the comic book stores. I think they're up for pre-order on Previews World. They're accepting, pre-orders now, but you can also get them in the comic book stores.
Yeah. So if you're watching this or listening to this and you have a shop or several shops in Previews now, order 1 million copies. They will fly. And yeah, I just love this. One, I learned from the best. So speaking of the best, Kevin Smith, he kind of figured it all out. The man's a master of repurposing his content. So he'll record a podcast, then he'll go do a live show of that podcast, and he'll sell advertising on top of it, release it, and he'll do one thing and then spread out into like 5 different other things.
Right.
And I love how you've done that as well. Starting out the novel into the comic series.
Oh yeah.
Who knows where it goes from here? Hopefully TV, movie, or streaming, or who knows?
Who knows? I would take all of those things. I would love it. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, who knows? Episodic podcast with advertising attached to it. A juggernaut franchise. We don't know yet. Like, well, we do because you've already
knows. Whenever I talk about that, I think, you know what? Nothing is out of realm, even a theme park, because if you look at, what everything is becoming, fandom creates whatever it wants to be, right? So you can go down that road and just have people love what you're doing. And that's such a great reward. Like, I love meeting people who have enjoyed whatever I've worked on or am working on, because hearing why they loved it and what it meant to them, that's the reason partly why you do this in the first place, right? Because I know, like, even for myself, like when I was, I'm a fan of, so many forms of TV and movies from the 90s. They influenced me how I grew up. So when I go back and rewatch or, something that I loved from that era, it hits a spot. It's like nostalgic, right? You're like, oh, I love that. Like for me, like one of the greatest, coming of age kind of exploring human consciousness was going on in the 90s when we had just on the verge of the internet coming out, right? What is the internet going to be? There's all these, stories that were taking off like Fight Club and The Matrix, kind of exploring this, right? And that inspired part of the magic story, that I get into, because for me, that's kind of like the parallel. And the spy thriller was, kind of more set in the early 2000s, I would say, which really influenced me when we were dealing with like espionage and international intrigue of shows like 24, Alias. I loved these shows. They influenced me so much. So yeah. Sorry, I'm rambling here. I'm not even letting
not at all. As I just took like a 5-hour road trip down to a convention this past weekend, and we rolled 90s songs the whole way down.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, you mentioned that nostalgia, that I know that certain place in the brain that hits when you hear a song or somebody makes like a 90s movie reference, or just or you see, even like an old commercial or something on YouTube, like, oh man, I remember that.
Right.
And when you find somebody else that remembers it just as fondly as you do, it's like magic. It's like magic. But that's something like if only they could bottle that somehow.
Yes.
And you kind of have through the book and now the comic. So,
well, I hope that people are going to love it as much as I'm estimating. Like, I'm having so much fun working on it. So I can't wait to hear, everyone's reaction to it. But yeah, it's one of those things where I put the love that I have from these elements, like I'm talking about, the drawing from back, when I would watch movies and stuff, in the 90s or the
Yeah,
2000s, that really affected me. And that's kind of the way that I see the world. Do you know
right.
what I mean? But yeah, no, I'm very excited about it, and I can't wait to hear if people their thoughts, and just let me know if anyone picks it up who's watching this. Please let me know on social media. I'd love to hear your reactions to it. I love all that.
Yeah, of which you're all over social media, so contacting you is not that hard.
Yes, I'm around and trying to be around. But that is my goal, I would say, with the series, though, is trying to bottle that magic and put it in a comic. It's badass, it's fun, it's an adventure, and that's what I hope people get out of it. So
I love it. So the magic stuff, we're nerds. We kind of grew up with the spy stuff. What are your major influences? I mean, the description mentions James Bond, of
right.
course.
Yes, I would say, like I mentioned, Alias.
Alias. Okay, 24.
24. Also James Bond, Mission Impossible. All of these, shows have impacted me and left me with a love of adventure, like the espionage, undercover. Like you can just do so many cool effects, and also really neat, like raising the stakes of what's going on in the story. And I'm just really down. Actually, speaking of that, I was watching a new show that's on Netflix called The Night Agent. I don't know if you've seen this yet. It's like number one.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it on the top 10 listing. Have not delved in yet.
So I've been watching that and I love it. I really am enjoying it so much. So I just really am down this rabbit hole of spies and espionage, and that's just what I'm right now. I'm so excited about.
Yeah, and one major element in the spy genre, gadgets.
Gadgets.
Now you had magical gadgets,
right?
Then it's even you've elevated the cool factor by like a million basically. So
well, that's part of the fun, I think, with when you're dealing with spies and espionage, is how do they perform all these things, and how do they get away with whatever tricks or whatever they needed to do to get out of that situation. So in the North Valley Grimoire, I've fused magic and the weaponry into, I'm calling it techno alchemy. So
I love that. That's
like a gun that shoots spells,
right?
And there's other really cool techno alchemy, like with his watch. So things that he can. I don't want to give away all the spoilers here before you get to read it, but there are really
cool. Like, what a great term, techno alchemy.
Yeah, techno alchemy is the effect of the fusion of magic and the ammunition, or the having something that you can use to your advantage that way. I mean, there's also like spells, and the grimoire obviously is like the magical book that everyone is chasing, and there's charms and there's other things that are in the series. But yeah, this was the fun part too of doing the research for this. I mean, you go down like these crazy rabbit holes of like, what could you do with this spell, or what's magic, in some parts of the world, what do they consider magic? And it's just so much fun to research. But yeah, but the tone is very, I would say, the vibe is in line with like Mission Impossible and James Bond.
Okay, it just sounds, which equals fun. It just sounds like so much fun. And the other thing I love about the spy genre, the fashion, the suits. I always watch like Mission Impossible. Like, there's one Tom Cruise suit from Ghost Protocol that I want someday. Like, I'm gonna get some guy to make it for me. It's like a shiny blue, like steel blue suit. But the tuxes, I'm like, I need like, where tux, I feel like James Bond.
Very, like, that's definitely a part of what goes into creating the mystique of the the character. And Malik is the name of the agent that is the protagonist that I have, and he is British. Sorry, he has like a British sense of wit, I should say, where he's like very tongue in cheek, and he's always made cracking jokes and stuff, but he's also a little bit sarcastic and witty, and the look that he has is so unique, where he has like the watch and he's always looking a certain way, and he kind of makes fun of you know, the people bringing him drinks or whatever, he'll be
Right.
like, oh, that's not the drink that I wanted, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny. But like you're saying, like the fashion elements, it reminds me of that definite sense of mystique, right?
Yes. And what was it like when you first saw the artwork? Um,
Oh, the artwork is incredible. Yes, it blew me away. Giuseppe is for the interior art. I mean, you know, when things start coming back, and you put it into a script, you're not sure, like, are they going to envision it the same way?
yeah,
And he did an incredible job. It's just, it blows me away every time. So we've worked together though previously, so I know we have a good flow with back and forth. Like if I'll ask him, like I mentioned, like the library scene, I wanted something kind of epic, and he just took it up 10 notches and
right.
did it. But it's so fun.
Amazing. And I'm going to throw up the cover here again, just so you,
Oh yeah,
you get a little taste here.
so this is the David Nakayama cover. So we have a bunch of different ones from different artists, but I've worked with David before as well, and I loved the expression on her face here. You know, just showing like she's basically opened this grimoire and what the heck's coming out of it.
Right.
And Faye did the other cover for us, and she also works in fashion design elements as well. So, you know, a lot of the artists do have I'd say a hand in different areas and genres and stuff. So she as well, oh, her outfits and her expressions were just incredible.
That's amazing. So are you currently on, I guess, kind of like a promo tour, either online? I saw you just did a signing at the iconic Golden Apple Comics.
Yes.
I believe it's on Melrose Boulevard, all the way in Los Angeles. That's a long way from Toronto, my friend.
It is. It is. There's been a lot going on. We have to talk about this because we've all been all over the place. Yeah, I went to LA and I was invited there by Golden Apple, and they were so welcoming and
They're
so
great.
amazing. I love that it was also set for me to do a signing based on books, because usually signings are more, you know, comic centric, but this was to talk about my books as well. And it was so much fun. And it just happened to be like there was people, I couldn't believe it was raining outside and there's people waiting for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're like waiting in the rain. Oh my gosh, get in here. So I was chatting with everyone and I had a great opportunity to catch up. And people brought, you know, comics and things that I had worked on like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, can you sign this? I'm like, oh my gosh, like that just fills my heart with so much joy to see you still have these and you love it from so much that you want me to sign it. Like, that's incredible. But the owner was like, you know, will you come? There's somebody I would like to introduce you to. And I'm like, oh, sure. You know, thinking, I don't know who it was, but I was just basically excited to see, okay. And I stepped back into the back room and it's, you know, standing there is Samuel Jackson. And he's like, oh, I heard you were doing a signing today and I would love a copy of your book. And I was like, my brain is like this.
I mean, like, what's your first thought? You step into a back room and like literally Nick Fury standing there.
Yeah, really, just staring at you, like totally cool. He was the coolest guy, like, you know, super casual and funny, cracking jokes. Literally, like I was trying to, like, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll get you books. So I got him a copy of the books. And I'm thinking about what do you write to Samuel Jackson? Like, something cool. I've got to do something. Literally escaped me. I couldn't in the moment. I was like, my hand was shaking. I could not think of anything cool to write. I was kind of like, should I do something about like Royale with cheese or you know, Nick Fury? But I couldn't muster it in the moment. But he was so nice and so sweet. And the funniest part was at the end, I kind of turned to the owner with my phone and I was like, would it be okay if we like got a picture together?
I get the picture.
And Samuel Jackson's looking at me and he's like, why are you asking this motherfucker? I'm like, right here, ask me. And I was like,
so he gave you a little Sam Jackson attitude. Like, he's not acting. Like, that's Sam Jackson.
No, that's him. And it's like, I was like, am I in Pulp Fiction right now? What is going on?
I love that Samuel Jackson fell in love with you. I love it. He's like, why are you asking this guy? It happens.
You never know.
Yeah, I'm just get used to it. That's cool. I mean, is he a fan? Was he there randomly? Was he tipped off? Do you have any idea?
This is the thing that's difficult to pin down because he was coming into the store, I think, sometime that week. But when he knew I was doing a signing, I mean, he did end up there right at the same time. So who's to say, right?
I mean, I say he's a big fan of yours. I say he was playing it cool, just like you were.
Yeah, really.
Didn't want to fanboy out, and you know he is the cool. Is if you make a list of the coolest people on the planet, like he's definitely in the top 10,
Yes.
maybe the top five, depending on your rankings and you know your tastes. But
so cool, and so nice and sweet too, like funny, just
yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. Like highlight of my day there. I was like bucket list item, kind of like check. Got to meet Samuel Jackson at a book signing. Yeah, it's not going to get much better than this today. I don't know.
I mean, I'd say yeah, definitely check that. The fact that it was unexpected though is my favorite part. So you know, you don't have time to prepare. All you have time for is to react.
Yeah,
and yeah, and you know, if you can put on your poster that endorsed by Samuel Jackson, not a bad thing.
You never know, right? He's got the book. I mean, who's to say? Maybe he's going to read it and love it too. I don't know.
Yeah,
I hope he does.
But I saw photos of you not only at the signing but touring LA, poolside at the Beverly Hilton.
Yeah, I was having a good couple days in LA. I had meetings and stuff to go to, but I try to always, get into those places where I have never been before. Like I've never been to Hollywood studios.
Right.
So I got to go there. I did the studio tour, which I'm sure people in LA are like, oh yeah, we do that all the time. But for me, I had never been there. It was so exciting.
Pretty cool. It's cool. I mean, even if you do live there, go. I mean, there's no.
Go.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yes. It's 10 minutes from you. Why wouldn't you go?
Exactly. Oh, it was so fun. And I learned a lot, actually. They tell you a lot in the tour when you're going around about the movies and how they make movies and all this stuff. So for me, I was like, this is so exciting. But yeah, I got to go to some really cool, iconic actually places. I went to the Polo Lounge for lunch.
Oh yeah, at the Beverly Hills Hotel, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was incredible because in walks this booming figure with like a bodyguard behind him, and it walks right by my table and sits behind me. It's Dr. Phil. And he's got such a loud voice. Like the whole time when I was like having my lunch, I could hear him talking behind me because he's so loud, right? Just walks in like
he's in the room judging everyone.
Oh yeah,
that's what he gets paid for. So yeah. He's judging everyone.
One place I went though that you would have loved was the Grand Havana Room.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Yes.
I was lucky enough to go there once. The Grand Havana Room is I was like Beverly Hills, LA, Southern California's premier private smoking restaurant and lounge. Right. And you can only get in if you're a member or if you're with a member, which I was lucky enough to do so once. And there's nothing like sitting outside on the outside patio, maybe eating lunch, but really just coolly smoking a cigar.
Right.
And listen, I don't smoke very often. I'll do.
Okay. That's what people were messaging me, being like, "Do you smoke, Blake?"
Yeah.
Like, I don't. I have had one cigarette in my whole life.
Right.
But I do like the smell of a cigar.
Oh yeah.
And I had never really had the opportunity to try smoking them, so I know you don't inhale. Like this is my very first opportunity kind of to do this type of thing. I don't want people to think I'm endorsing anything. No. It was a really fun activity to go out and be there. And, I do like the smell of the odd cigar.
Were you catching flack for smoking a cigar at the coolest cigar lounge in LA? Listen, it's different. People think it's like, oh, you're gonna get cancer and if you do too much, sure. But these aren't like cigarettes where you're like chain smoking them.
No.
You don't even inhale. I puff them.
Yeah.
You enjoy the aroma, and it's
right.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's a cool place. The lounge is very, like you said, it's like you can get food, there's drinks, there's a bar, there's also outdoor seating, indoor seating. It's like a fun social club, I would say. So just being a part of that is fun too. You never know who you're going to see too, because it has some pretty amazing members, right? That could come in. So you're kind of like, ooh, who's going to show up? You never know.
Right.
But
all of this to say is being nerds, you get to do some pretty cool stuff. So
yeah,
which I like to see from you.
I knew Ming will appreciate this
Oh
Cuban
yeah,
cigar that I have going.
I did. I think I sent a photo back.
Yeah,
It was not in LA. I was actually here in the building. I'm here. There's a fundraiser going on, and someone was hand rolling cigars, and I was like, all right, I can't one up you, but I can try to keep up with you.
yes, I love seeing that. I
Yeah,
did. You have so many cool things on the go though. The last I saw you, you were in Hawaii.
I was in Hawaii.
Like, please tell us about this experience.
We got to get you out there. And this all comes because I went to San Diego Comic Con, which
Okay,
we always see each other at these days,
exactly.
which I love. But I was lucky enough to have a table there, and a very enthusiastic guy comes up to me and starts telling me he loves the show and he loves pop culture and he's a filmmaker, and gifts me and he ends up gifting me a box of macadamia nuts. I'm like, oh, you're from Hawaii?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I'm from the island of Kauai. It's like, oh, I've been there. I was there 20 years ago. It's a beautiful island, in my opinion, the best one in
right.
the Hawaiian island chain. And he's like, "Oh, you've been there?" He's like, "Would you ever think about going back?" I'm like, "Oh, I've been trying to get back for 20 years, but it's a long flight. It's not cheap." He's like, "Oh, well, I started a Comic Con there called the Kauai Comic Convention. Started in 2019.
Right.
Went really well. I'm thinking about doing another one. If I do another one, would you consider coming out as a guest?" I was like,
You're like done.
"Consider?" I was like, "Bro, yeah." His name's Aaron Yamasato. Like, Aaron, listen, I'll start swimming right now for the
Yeah.
next one. And by the time I get there, it'll be time for the con. And
Amazing.
gave me his card, and we kept in contact. And we discovered, we became very good friends,
Right.
just through that interaction, through texting later. And, he, in fact, did invite me for the next one, which was supposed to be in 2020. And
Right.
you know what happened? Nothing happened in 2020.
Right.
And most recently the island opened up for large scale events. And yeah, so the second one uh, happened 4 years later. But Kauai Comic Con #2 went off without a hitch about a week and a half ago, and I
Amazing.
was there, and it really was amazing. Again, speaking of where being a nerd can take you places, and
Yeah.
it made it almost made as back when I was a nerd, we got looked down on, we got made fun of, we were ignored, we were put down. Some of us were tortured for being a nerd, but in that moment, when I'm sitting at this amazing resort on Kauai, and there's a couple thousand people lined up to get into this convention.
Amazing.
Some of them flew from other islands to meet me,
Oh my
right,
gosh.
and attend the convention. And the fact that it was the second Comic Con on the island ever was pretty cool. It's almost like being a part of history. So
Yeah.
yeah, for
That's
sure.
amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. So yeah, we got to get you down there somehow. And
I would go.
yeah, Comic Cons on the Hawaiian Islands are becoming more common for sure.
Right. I was gonna say, isn't there one? No, I've only ever been to Oahu. Is that how you say it?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
I've been there like 20 years ago too. Like
Yeah.
I haven't been back since, but I would love to. But I think they have. Do they have a year? Not a yearly, but they have a comic convention there.
Yeah, they have several actually. I think there's Comic Con Hawaii. There's one run by my friend Jimmy J, called Amazing Comic Con.
Okay.
And I just met a guy who does a little smaller, more centric show. He does it twice a year, and I'm hoping to get invited out for that as well at some point.
Definitely.
So
I'm
yeah,
sure everyone was thrilled to meet you and see you there, and it looked like you were having the best time. I was so happy to see that.
yeah,
Yeah,
we had a great time. Attendance wise, like, all right, it's an island.
yeah,
And I think there are 73,000 people on the island, but how many are into pop culture? How many are free this weekend?
right.
How many are going to come out? You never know. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised. And I think the thing with it was explained to me is like, hey, there aren't a lot of like large scale events on this island, so something does happen and it's cool, people will come out.
To
But
support it too, to make
um,
sure that it continues, right? I'm sure.
yeah,
Um,
it was way more than I thought was going to be there, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I love what
well, it's also the Ming effect. Right. So when Ming comes out, there's going to be people excited to see you. I've witnessed the Ming effect many times. Walking down the street with you, people will jump over and just like randomly start hugging you.
I've witnessed the Blake Northcott effect as well.
Ah,
You know, it goes both ways, my friends.
okay,
It goes both ways. So
that's all right.
yeah. So speaking of, you know, touring and conventions, I know we always tear it up at San Diego.
Yeah, we had
We
a great time last year.
yeah, we hung out, had Mexican food, went on a boat party.
Party,
Yes.
Funko party.
Oh yes, yes, you were with me at the last fun days, which was
Wild and cool.
hopefully as mind blowing as I described it.
Yes. It's a difficult thing to describe for people who haven't been there, but it was crazy and so much fun. Yeah, we had the best time. I mean, San Diego has so much to do and see, and there's people everywhere. It is overwhelming a little bit, like when you're there, because you have to make a plan to meet everyone, and you're running to panels or signings, and it's kind of exhausting because then you also go out at night, right? So there's not much sleep happening, but it's worth it for sure. And we had the best time. Yeah, we did a lot.
Yeah, we always do. You know, giant margaritas, you know, midnight carne asada burritos. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I would literally fly there just for the Mexican food. Honestly, it is so good in San Diego. I've never experienced food like that because in Canada, I guess we don't have an abundance of Mexican restaurants around me here. So when I get there, I'm like, oh, Mexican food. Like that's all I want to eat.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, outside of Mexico, it doesn't really get any better. Right. But what I love is, you know, you're at San Diego, you're having fun, you're networking, but you're taking meetings as well. So you're working. You know, it's not all fun and games. You're working as well.
Yeah.
Which for me, I usually go out. You know, it's almost 100% just like goofing off. Although you meet other convention promoters and you get to your conventions or you promote or. I don't know. For me, I'm just trying to keep comic book men somewhat alive, you know, I'm still promoting it, even though we're not airing anymore. It is, they moved all the episodes to YouTube for free now. So, you know, I think right now it's more accessible to more people now than it has ever been. So, so who knows? I'm trying to get it back. Everyone's always like, is it coming back? Is it coming back? Like, I don't know. I have, you know, that is out of my control. All I know is if it comes back, I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Everybody listening, Ming is ready. I mean, what a great show too, though. Like you said, people in this space, there aren't a lot of opportunities to watch people discuss what's going on and talk about pop culture and, you know, movies and, you know, that the time slot you had after, you know, The Walking Dead too. That was perfect. Like it was just such a great thing, and everyone I know that watched it loved it. So
thank you.
Too. I want to know about your G.I. Joe aircraft carrier that you owned as a kid. That was my favorite episode.
Yeah, real quick, because it's got a really interesting story. So I didn't get it as a kid. It was too expensive,
right?
And I didn't have the funds for it. I turned to my parents, who did, and they there was no way they were buying it. It was a rich kid toy, and we were middle class. So, and I understand in a world where the figures were about $3, this aircraft carrier was over 100. So I understand that's a big jump. So I didn't get it until it came in on the show literally 30 years later.
Wow.
And you know, some things you just want to have, right? Like, buy it just to have it, even if, say, you know, my analogy is, you know, say I did get like an Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yes.
I like, it wouldn't be like, I wouldn't throw it on the bookshelf. Right. It would probably go in a safety deposit box, which is kind of sad because you don't get to enjoy it really until you take, you know, for whatever reason, you go to the bank and you want to show it to somebody or whatever. And so I end up buying this big giant aircraft carrier and I end up having nowhere to put it. It's so big.
Yes.
It's 2 feet long. It's built to scale with the figure. So this thing's huge. Wow. So what ended up happening, I get this question a lot. It's like, what'd you do with it? And my intention was to take it home, set it up, show my kids how cool it was. and just enjoy it. And then I was like, wait, I have no room for this. Like it
Kitchen
really,
table or the carrier? What are we going to eat on?
right,
Like,
or your bed. Like I could sleep on it maybe, but yeah. So end up sitting disassembled in the basement of the comic book shop for years.
okay,
Because I kind of threw it down there, still knowing that I had it, but I just kind of want to ignore that it was taking up so much space. And I was
right,
like, well, I'll figure out later where it's going to go. And, later turns into years. Eventually, the store was like, listen, you got to get this out of here. We need room for actual merchandise. Like, this isn't, we're not your self storage space. Like, get this out of here. So, I actually assembled it one last time in the main part of the store. And this guy comes in. He's like, hey, man, is that for sale? Are you selling that? And I'm like, listen, I don't want to sell this,
yes,
but I'll listen to an offer though. Like, what do you
yeah,
got? He's like, he started thinking a little bit. He's like, all right, first of all, I'm a real fan. We're the same age. I'm buying this for me. I've always wanted this thing. Also, my son, my 17-year-old son, also loves GI Joe. I'm kind of buying it for us.
right,
But just so you know, it's going to a true fan. I'm not gonna flip it. I'm
right.
not, I'm not just getting it to throw in the corner somewhere. Like there's something that I'll enjoy as well.
Well,
So
that's good
just know that. So he was like, listen, I'll give you this much. Plus, I'm opening a brewery down the street.
to know.
And how about this? When I open and you sell this to me, free beer for life. Whenever you come,
Wow.
free beer, cans, whatever. Don't go overboard, but I'll keep
Yeah,
you in a steady supply of the beer I brew at the brewery. And I was like, listen, how can I turn that down?
right.
You can't.
That's a good deal.
I couldn't turn that down. I didn't want it, I didn't want to let it go, but I'm like, listen, this is too good to pass up.
Yes.
So, long story short, we ended up becoming very good friends. When we opened up the podcast studio, he was one of the first sponsors to sign on
Oh, nice.
without hesitation. And it actually took a long road. This was, this is 5 years ago, and it took this long. But that brewery, which is called Ross Brewing, had his grand opening this past weekend.
Oh, wow.
So I got to attend, and yeah, and not only to become very good friends, we did a long running weekly podcast for on the Shared Universe Network, and not only that, but he cut me in for a piece of the brewery later on. So me and Mike Zapsik are actually part owners now. So it, in terms of really working out, it really
Yes.
worked out. So
Great story too.
yeah, I don't think it could have gone any better, that scenario. Would I like to have it? Sure. I'm trying to pitch to him, I was like, hey, can you put it in the brewery, like the tap room, like maybe encasing plexiglass, use it as maybe like a coffee table there. I don't know. It'd be pretty cool though.
That would be cool. It would actually probably, I would say, bring people in to the brewery.
Oh yeah.
There's a toss up between meeting Ming and seeing the carrier, right? Like,
Yeah.
who knows? And the great beer. I'm sure it's a win-win all around.
Yeah, it is. So I can go in there and I basically pour my own beer there now.
Wow.
And like I think I have like 100 cans at the studio that will go to people appreciate it. So
That's so
sure.
cool. Now
Yeah.
I know where to find you. You'll be in the brewery.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not at the studio. I'll be at Ross Brewing for sure.
Yeah.
I want to throw these comments up here. I don't know if you saw them, but I loved arena mode and the Vampire one shot.
Oh, that's amazing.
Are amazing. So
I love hearing
very much.
that.
Also, this fan is in the UK and pre-ordered North Valley Grimoire. So
amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. I love that. Yeah, so everyone knows the pre-orders are available now, and it's through, I think, you can do it through pre-order, Previews World, sorry.
Oh yeah, for sure. Our good friends are at Previews World. So yes. Yeah, if you are a retailer, definitely grab many copies of this. It'll fly.
Oh, I would love to sign it for anyone who gets it. Definitely.
And Tammy's been watching this whole time, so I dig Magic with Spies, which means you will like both the book and the comic book when it comes out on May 31st, 2023. Yeah, I can't wait to go down to the store. That store being Jane Silent Bob's Secret Stash in what, about maybe 6-7 weeks?
Yes.
And pick it up. I will take a photo of me and Mike.
Oh my gosh.
The book.
Thank you.
And yeah, I have you been asked to promote? Are you doing any more signings?
I'm doing like just podcasts and things like that, interviews. There's some online interviews coming out, but in the summer, I mean, when cons come, I would love to come at some point, eventually too. I want to come down to the stash one day in New Jersey. We
Oh
always talk
man,
about that.
let me talk to Mike about this.
I have to
I think
figure this out.
we could
Yes.
arrange this. Either hopefully you'll be at New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I feel like for sure for San Diego,
Okay.
I'm aiming for New York. So, maybe we should make that happen. That'd be great.
Yeah, and to any shops out there, would you be open to doing signings?
Yes,
Okay,
for sure. I would love to. I love meeting people in the industry and people who are reading all this stuff and fans of course, if you order it, I'd love to sign your books.
fantastic. And I love seeing at conventions. I remember we went to the one in New Hampshire,
Granite State.
Granite State Comic Con, which is amazing. If you're anywhere near Manchester, New Hampshire, and Granite State usually happens in September, I believe.
Yes.
Great convention. We tore it up. We found hidden bars. We found late night diners. We found cowboy bars.
We did so much there.
We did late night karaoke. Yeah, breakfast, dinners, dance parties, after parties.
Oh my god.
We did it all in the name of geekdom and comic book fandom as well. So
yes.
Yeah, I love hanging out with you in your presence as well. I gotta get up to Toronto somehow.
Yes. Well, you did come to Toronto. We hung out for that one morning when you had a layover.
It wasn't even a layover. I was coming back from a convention in Prince George, British Columbia.
Okay.
Was supposed to have a layover in Toronto, like a 1-hour layover, which turned into a 24-hour layover because of a chain of storms canceled my flight. And I love it. As people were kind of panicking, it's like, oh, what am I going to do? I'm just like, yes. So I went, end up finding a really cool hotel on Queen Street West.
Right.
And I remember, I'm on my way there, and I'm texting. He was like, "Hey, are you around? Like, maybe not tonight, but maybe, can you grab coffee tomorrow morning?" And
yes.
You ended up trading down. Not only did we get coffee, we got dumplings, we got bubble tea.
Bubble tea, the best bubble tea I've ever had. We had the Korean, I think. Korean dumplings too.
Yeah,
we did like a whole bunch. We crammed. You like took me to like 3 or 4 different places, like in an hour, and we just like did it all. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was the best canceled flight ever.
Yeah,
for sure. So
we always have funding.
Yeah, so I'll find my way up there again for sure.
Okay, do it.
And I'm hoping to see you hopefully before San Diego, but who knows? And San Diego's coming up quick. It might be, 3 months is not a long time. So
I know it seems like it's a way off, but I find that San Diego planning starts happening really early.
Oh yeah,
we'll always kind of get into it and talk about the panels and this and that, and it's and then it's just here before you know it. So yeah, I can't wait
for sure. But anybody watching and listening to this, mark your calendars, May 31st, 2023, at your local comic shop. Pick up North Valley Grimoire, or if you can't wait, pick up the book. It's on Amazon right now, and ready to be enjoyed. And I think if you like the book, pick up the comic. If you end up liking the comic, pick up the book. And I hope it. I mean, I know it's going to blow up, but I just don't know how far this orbit's going to reach.
I hope it's far.
I hope it's far as well. Yeah, all I always ask is, an invite to the premiere, whether it be TV or movie premiere. Yeah,
of course, my friend.
Yes, yeah. I think that's where I finally go and buy a tux. And
oh, that's the dream.
I'll sport that because I want to fit the part. I want to look like a spy for sure. So
yeah, you'll have the spy outfit for sure. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. And thank you for continuing to make me smile, laugh, and inspire, and just being inspirational in general for sure.
Oh well, thank you so much for your support, and
always. I'm gonna
forget the premiere, Ming. I want to cast you in the show. You need to be on Netflix, and hopefully that happens one day. So, oh my gosh, that would be.
I am ready. Throwing up the thing from Previews World one more time. In shots, May 31st, 2023. $3.99, so less than a cup of coffee these days, and that is a synopsis right there. But again, if you're a retailer, Previews, order a bunch of copies. You won't regret it. They're gonna fly.
Oh, I would love that. And let everyone, hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I appreciate you taking the time today, Ming, to
Oh, come
podcast with
on.
me and talk about all this amazing stuff. And
Always.
you are doing such incredible things. So I can't wait to see you in, well, San Diego, hopefully next.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see you sign your first copies, your
Oh,
first of many copies.
you know, I will be posting about it. I will be posting. So
You have a cool autograph, so
oh, cool. Well, I can't wait to do it. So
amazing. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else?
I feel like we talked about everything.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
Spies Magic, May 31st. Spellcraft meets Spycraft. So, or the other way around. But I love it. Thank you for joining us all the way from the Great White North, Toronto, Canada. Amazing creator, badass mother, writer, and personality. Follow Blake. You're at Blake Northcott on everything, correct?
Yes, you can
Okay.
find me. BlakeNorthcott.com is my website, has all my links there. And I'm on, you know, Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. I'm all over the place.
Yeah. Your social media is pretty awesome and a mix of business and fun. So
yes, it's fun. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. Follow, grab the book,
Yes.
and then tell us how you love us. I'll talk. I would love to talk to you guys about it as well. So
Me too. Thank you so
much. Thanks for joining us. The North Valley Grimoire. Everybody, pick it up again, May 31st, 2023. Blake, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys, and thank you, Ming, for having me.
Of course, and we'll see you guys soon.
Okay, bye everybody.